Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pop Punk Podcast. I'm not even going to say the episode name or not the episode. I'm not going to say the episode number because I already kind of forget which number we're on. I mean, I'll know later when I upload, but as of right now, I kind of forget what number we're on. I think 19. But anyway, it's me, T Will Official, and my G-ass co-host, Mr. Daddy Mush. Say what's up, sir.
What's up, man? Well, great to be back for another delicious podcast. And yes, I said delicious, but yeah, how you doing now?
It is a delicious episode. I'm doing pretty good. I'm relaxing. I got a 4-day weekend, which is pretty high. I mean, by the time this episode airs, I'll be on the last day of my 4-day weekend. But as of right now, when we're recording this, I'm on day 0. And I say day 0 because it's like the day that you work. That's like the day before your weekend. That's kind of like day 0, but it's kind of like a honorary weekend because like you're still staying up late because you don't got shit to do. Well, I do got shit to do tomorrow, but like you still staying up late because you don't got shit to do like when you first wake up or anything like that. So it's like an honorary day. Also, I usually call it day 0.
Yeah, and just for I guess for anybody wondering, this is episode 19, just so you know.
Okay, Mr. Daddy Mush did a little browse of the YouTube channel.
How'd you know? What do you have access to my laptop?
Well, I know that you like to browse the internet while we do this.
Well, yeah, because I feel but yeah, episode 19 for anybody wondering. But yeah, that's good to know that you have a 4-day weekend coming up.
Yes, I do, and I'm excited about that. I'm ready to get into this episode, though. We have a very, very, as he said, delicious episode today. We have another album review coming, and I came prepared today. I'm gonna level with you guys. I'm actually not very proud of the last album review that we did because I was a little underprepared. If anybody from Better Luck Next Time saw the album review, I would like to formally apologize. I would be open to redoing that album again in the future when I'm like more prepared. But I came prepared this time. We're doing an amazing album. But before we get into all that, you already know what we're going to be doing. We've done this for 19 episodes in a row. What have you been listening to this week, sir?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to give any spoilers just yet, but I've obviously been listening to if you're watching on YouTube, you already know what we're reviewing, so I might as well just say it right now, but obviously, I've been listening to MFZB by Zebrahead, of course, and then, just some Simple Plan, Better Luck Next Time, Chunk No Captain Chunk, still for better or for worse, Mr. Mario Judah as well. And other than that's just more the usual as, if you've been listening for the last 5 months, you already know what I listen to. But how about yourself, though?
For me, I've been listening to, I've also been listening to a lot of MFZB, in particular today. I've been listening to just kind of whole bunch of stuff, like the playlist I make. Like I don't really have any particular songs to single out right now that I listen to. I've been listening to that So What song by Jaden quite a bit. I've also been listening to Flashlight by Punchline a little bit. But other than that, I've just been kind of just sticking to my like playlists that I like, like those little 60 song playlists I make for like when I'm working, driving around.
Very nice.
Yeah, no real songs to single out there. I just kind of let the playlist play, and I just listen to it while I'm, driving or like playing Gears or COD or whatever.
Yeah, just vibe music, I guess the kids would say.
So to go through my Spotify top 5, we have Carry On by Better Luck Next Time, So What by Jaden, Cute Without the E by Taking Back Sunday.
One of the best post-hardcore songs, if not the best of all time.
FCP Remix by The Fall of Troy, and Tomorrow by Homegrown. And you know what that does remind? I have actually been listening to a little bit of like Homegrown and New Year's Day a little bit. Album 1 New Year's Day. Okay, I don't really delve into anything post Adam. And then if we're go ahead.
I was saying because for because I mean, it's funny because after they dropped "Dear You" or yeah, in '07, it took them like over half a decade to drop another album, and they just completely just reinvented themselves. It's like a completely different band. You know what I mean? It might as well be
I know.
because like the only remnant.
I genuinely wonder how Adam feels about that whole situation because I know that was like his baby. Like I don't think he left on any bad terms. I think you said it was just like disputes with the label. But I mean
Yeah, the label went.
that was for all intents and purposes his baby, and they just kind of continued it without him and completely changed it. So I do wonder how he feels about that.
But I mean, I guess he must be pretty content with himself because I'm on his official webpage and he's a pastor, so good for him if that makes him happy.
Yeah, I do genuinely hope he's happy because his lyrics got a little dark in the mid 2000s.
I guess that's just good for him because it seems like that's how he found peace through his new career and endeavors in life. So good for him. So I'm pretty sure he's pretty content with his life where it's at.
Absolutely. And then, as a staple of extending to my Spotify top 7, coming in at number 6, we have My Paper Heart by the All American Rejects.
Very nice.
And then number 7, we have Come Around by Sing It Loud. So I think there's some different songs in there this week than there was last week. But
Yeah, I mean, but generally speaking, it's what we listen to doesn't really vary much week through week. You know what I mean? There might be little blips and bloops there, but it's generally what we've been listening to is the same. You know what I mean?
yeah, we're two dudes who know what we like.
So when there is something new or different, then it becomes like newsworthy. But I'm not going to be telling you for the 6th month in a row. Yeah, I've been listening to the same Newfound Glory album since 2008. You know that doesn't make good entertainment, but yeah.
Yeah, so concluding that part of the podcast, we can now move on to the main meat. So if you're watching on YouTube, so you already can tell by the title, we're doing a album review for Zebrahead's MFZB album. It dropped October 21st, 2003. And with this one, Zebrahead is kind of weird for me. First of all, my favorite album by them is probably Playmate of the Year. I did do an album review on Playmate of the Year on this channel, like an actual video, not a podcast episode. So if you want to check out my thoughts on that, feel free to scroll down a little bit. It's there if you want to watch it. But yeah, Zebrahead's kind of like a weird band for me because my favorite albums from them doesn't come from my favorite era from them. There's 3 distinct eras. There's the Justin era, the Matty era, and the Dan era. And they all have their own unique sound. Like the Justin era is kind of funky and it's very early 2000s. Like it's pop punk for the most part. But it's more of that early 2000s, kind of like American Pie, Dude, Where's My Car flavor of pop punk, which does make sense because the song Playmate of the Year was featured on the Dude, Where's My Car soundtrack. That's actually where I think I first was exposed to Zebrahead, was through the Dude, Where's My Car soundtrack. And then there's the Matty era, which is probably my favorite era, and it's just pure pop punk. And then there's the Dan era, which we talked about on the podcast before, is just kind of thrash metal, and I'm not really into it. So the Matty era is definitely my favorite era, but my 2 favorite albums are Playmate of the Year and MFZB, which both come from the Justin era. Boy, I have a lot of nostalgia for both of these albums. Playmate of the Year in particular, I listened to for the first time when I was 6. And then this one I got into a little bit later on. I didn't actually hear this one when it first came out. I heard it a couple years down the road. I actually didn't know they changed singers because I heard MFZB after Justin had already left the band and Matty was their new singer, and I didn't hear Broadcast of the World yet. And then they also they did that song in Sonic, His World, which I did listen to, but I actually didn't even know that was a new singer because I was 11 and stupid, and his voice sounds a little bit different in His World, so I didn't realize that wasn't Justin. But So anyway, do you have anything you want to say real quick, Mr. Daddy Mush?
Well, I mean, just for everybody who doesn't know the history of Zebrahead, this is the last album with Justin on the lead vocals, and in
Oh,
my opinion,
yes, I did forget to mention that. I had it in my brain earlier today. Like, I was kind of like rehearsing. Like, we don't put scripts down for this or anything. This is just totally off the fly. But I do try to like rehearse little things that I want to talk about on the podcast. I was thinking about that, thinking about that, thinking about that, and then I fucking forgot on the spot. But yeah, this is Justin's last real album. They did have one more after this, Waste of MFZB, but that's really just kind of a bonus album. It's just a bunch of like B-sides and I think like Japan only like bonus tracks.
a Spice Girls cover, but yeah, it was only released in Japan though. But so I
Yeah.
guess you're going to be technical with it. I mean, it's the last collection of original music featuring Justin, but it's this, for all intents and purposes, is the true last release. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's the end of the Justin era for sure.
Because he quit the following year. He left, and just for anybody who's curious, it doesn't really seem like they were on real bad. They pretty much left on pretty bad terms, Justin and the rest of the band. But musically speaking, I feel like this album, as a collective, was a big turning point in Zebrahead as a whole music career and Justin Moriella's career, because this album is where they really, I mean, there's still flavors, but they pretty much got rid of all the funk and other like nuances with this album that you would hear on Playmate of the Year and especially Waste of Mind.
yeah, this
So
is
it's more of a straightforward pop punk rock album with, of course, a little bit of funkiness in there just because, previous release, but this is a much more straightforward, to the point pop punk rock album for all intents and purposes. You can really hear that some of these songs that Zebra had moved in the future with some sound, with the sound they brought into this album. You see Zebra had continued that in the Maddie era broadcast to the world, which is my personal favorite. And then you can hear some songs that Justin does that you can really hear as a I Hate Kate or Darlin' Thieves, as they're known for the last 10 years, sound with that too. So I think it's just a really interesting
yeah,
thing to look out for.
for those that don't know, I Hate Kate, or yeah, as they're called now, Darling Thieves, was Justin's band after he left Zebrahead. And they are pretty bad. But yeah, you could definitely hear the seeds being planted for both future Zebrahead and I Hate Kate in this album. I agree. And now that our basic rundown is down, we can just hop right in. We can start with track number 1, Rescue Me. And this one, I think it's got a lot of energy to it. It's a great opener. They open when we saw them live. They opened with this song. I actually looked on Setlist.fm just to confirm that they did indeed open with this because I thought I remembered that they did, and they did. And I mean it's solid. It's pretty like punky, but it's still got enough of that pop sensibility that it's not like awful. Because for those that don't know, I'm not a fan of like actual punk music. I don't know if that's weird or not, considering I love pop punk, but I'm really not a fan of like punk music. Pretty much Zebrahead's heavier songs is about the line for me.
Well, I describe some of these songs on this album too for a much more, I guess, more mainstream comparison. That the songs like "Rescue Me" and a few other songs, I'll use this comparison later down when we're talking about other songs. But a lot of like their more rock oriented songs remind me a lot of like Sum 41's "Does This Look Infected" album.
You know what? I think that's actually a really good comparison. Yeah,
"Rescue Me" and a couple other songs, which I'll mention, sound like it could be straight out of like a Sum 41 discography post All Killer No Filler. You know what I mean?
that makes sense. Yeah, but it's not full blown metal like Chuck.
Yeah, like it sounds like it does this look infected. That's of the vibe I get from a lot of these songs from this album. But yeah, but Rescue Me is just a great opening track because this is essentially like their version of what Newfound Glory's like understatement is, that outside of like a new album release, they pretty much open up like almost every show with Rescue Me.
And I mean, it's a great opener.
It's
It's
full of energy, has full of angst. There's a little bit of anger in there, but it's also catchy and it's popular enough so people can really get the joint jumping.
yeah. You're gonna hear me say this a lot in this album review, but the chorus is awesome. I love the chorus of this song.
It's a big chorus, sing along, and it's a great opening chorus for like a concert because I noticed something with like great opening choruses that the lyrics tend to be very simple so people can sing along and scream to them. You know what I mean? Like just like rescue me. It's just a very powerful not message. It's not that deep.
It's
But it's powerful
anthemic.
when you're singing along at a show or a concert. You know
It's
what I mean?
it's an it's anthemic.
Yes, it's very arena-ish.
So yeah, if I had to put it somewhere, I'd probably put it kind of like mid to like higher mid tier. What about you?
Um, I mean, out of the four singles they had, I would say it's probably my second favorite of their singles.
Okay.
Uh,
I almost asked you what your favorite was, and then I remembered we still have the whole rest of the album to go through.
yeah, Miss Only opening track, but I mean, I would probably say it's definitely the top half of the album, but probably not top three. And I'll be mentioning
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be
what
mentioning my top three as well as we go through it. Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely not top three material.
it's definitely mid tier, but it's definitely in the upper 50% than the bottom 50%, if that makes sense to anybody.
Yes, I think that's exactly what I was saying, pretty much too. Like
It's
it's
pretty much like an echo chamber here, but yeah,
higher mid tier for me. Like it's definitely mid tier. Like there's definitely songs in this album I'd rather listen to if given the chance, but there's also a lot worse on this album, and we're gonna talk about the worst.
yes. Is there anything else you want to say about the very powerful, very high energetic opener known as Rescue Me?
Not really. I think I said everything I need to say about that.
Okay, then I'm ready to move on
Yeah,
then.
so we can move on to track number 2, Over the Edge, and this one is my favorite on the album.
Okay, very nice.
It's just a pop punk song. Like it doesn't really sound too much like Maddie era pop punk, but it's a beautiful pop punk song. And as I said, you're gonna be hearing this a lot throughout the album review because it just rings true throughout most of the album. The chorus is spectacular. And yeah, it's beautiful pop punk with a very catchy chorus, and the verses are catchy too. Like I really like what Justin's doing on this song.
I enjoy the pre-choruses too. Like I think Maddie really uses his kind of rap yelling. He utilizes it really well.
You
On the
mean
pre-choruses.
you mean Allie? You said Maddie.
Ali, as soon as I said that "t" in Maddie, I realized I have to. My apologies. We're not professionals here. Uh, but yeah, Ali really, I think, utilizes his kind of rap yelling in the pre-chorus to really kind of transition it well into a high energy chorus and just
Yeah.
catch it.
Yeah, and this is definitely I think the first album where he kind of transitioned into like almost screaming.
Yeah,
like,
like,
on the first two albums he was pretty much just rapping. But yeah, I think this is really the album where he started like the kind of like not screaming because it's not like "Ugh," but like yeah, like the shouting, the yelling.
yeah.
It,
So
it,
that's why I brought in my little thing that said like this album was a major turning point in pretty much all the musicians in their career because they utilize a lot on this album into the Maddie era, like that rap yelling he does. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Which is very prevalent on their Fallout Broadcast of the World, but this is all about MFZB. But also, before we move on with this song, I always like to joke about the lyrics in this song are pretty suspect at best.
yeah. Ed thinks this song is about domestic abuse. I disagree. The lyrics are definitely about a fight. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but they are about a verbal fight, not a physical fight.
Okay, we got the gloves off, and I've been drinking
It's
Okay,
a
that sounds a lot.
metaphor.
911 coming to the house.
It's a metaphor.
I don't know, man. Justin seems like a real piece of shit, to be honest
You
with you.
know, okay,
You just don't
I'm glad that you said that because I did want to say real quick. I think it's very hilarious how a lot of the songs with Justin in the band seem to be about him being a piece of shit, like such as Jagoff
Yeah.
off of Waste of Mind, The Hell That Is My Life off of Playmate of the Year. And although I think we may disagree about the extent of his piece of shittedness in Over the Edge, I think there's no doubt that Over the Edge is about him being a piece of shit.
A woman, yes. It's like he brags about being a piece of crap. It's like he gets like credit. It's like his credit card gets like a boost with it. I mean, I don't know why that metaphor came up. That's just the first thing that came in my head. But other than that, though, this is definitely a top 3 song for me.
Yeah, no. All jokes about the lyrics aside, I mean, this is definitely my favorite song on the album, and I would actually like to see them kind of try another pop punk song in the same kind of like vein as this. I don't really know how to describe it, but like it sounds different than like the Maddie era pop punk. Like, I don't know if I could hear Maddie on this song. I think I could hear Maddie on this song, but like it wouldn't fit on like Broadcast of the World or like Phoenix or anything like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a very
Justin
unique.
has like a very unique vibe to him, especially Zebrahead in this era, which is very unique because they're like I said, they're at a crossroads. Like,
Yeah, I've never simultaneously thought somebody was so ridiculous while also genuinely enjoying their work, like I do with Justin.
Like, he's just a one of a kind character. It seems like Maddie is just a good, kind, spirited, goofy dude. When Justin just seems like he just has an aurora with him, just like the nuances how he sings and musically. The music was a more rocky album, but they still had their funky, intros behind them. So it just created a very unique sound. When Maddie took over, the funk really just died out. So
yeah, I mean, Broadcast the World is just a pop punk album, no doubt.
yeah, but so I said it's kind of hard for in my opinion. Is why you could see Maddie on this because Zebrahead has never done. When Maddie came in, that's Zebrahead's first 2 album remnants are completely disappeared. Great song nonetheless, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about that as if it's like a bad thing, but I just want to stress again, the Maddie era is like as a whole my favorite era of the band, like the post Justin, pre Dan era. And for those that don't know, Dan isn't a new vocalist. Maddie is still the vocalist on the Dan era, but I call it the Dan era because that's when their sound shifted again. Was when Greg left the band, their guitarist, and then they got Dan in as the replacement.
I think Greg is a big reason for that, more of a funkier vibe too, as well.
I would definitely agree with that. It's like I don't necessarily think he was the mastermind behind all their songs, but I definitely think when he left and then Dan joined, I think they let Dan incorporate more like metal elements to try and make him feel more at home because Dan was the guitarist or I think he still is a guitarist for Death by Stereo, which is a hardcore band. So my thought process isn't necessarily that Greg was the mastermind behind all their songs, but more like I guess they wanted him to feel more comfortable playing like metal or something.
That, and I mean, Zebrahead has definitely enjoyed metal to say the least. I mean,
yeah, but there is a fine line between the metal that they played before Dan and the metal that they played after Dan. And we're going to talk about that because some of the songs on this album are pretty heavy.
Yes, we will discuss more about that. But you want to go into Strength now?
Yeah, because this will be a fucking 2-hour episode if we don't move on.
Every other song we talk about is another background piece.
So yeah, let's move on to track number 3, Strength. And this is another one. This one, it's not a part of my top 3, but I would definitely still put it in like the higher tier of the album. It for me,
Exactly a bubble.
the beauty in this song lies in the nuance. Like the little, if you like the little shit that they play on the guitar in this song is what makes it sound so cool to me. Uh, like as I said before, this whole album, the fucking choruses are amazing. But I think what really sticks out to me in this song isn't like the vocal melody or anything, but like the little like as they're doing the chorus, and it's like it's prominent, like it's not in the background where you have to like listen multiple times to hear it. Like it's definitely there and you definitely hear it, but it's not like it's like a nice little bonus. You know what I mean? Like it just like the song would probably be perfectly fine without it, but it's a nice little like cherry on top.
Yeah, and yeah, the guitar work on this song is just really cool because even during the pre-chorus when Maddie's rapping, I mean, freaking Allie, not Maddie, Allie's rapping. And there's that cool little guitar thing that they're doing over the pre-chorus where it sounds like explain, but it's just like it's very effecty and reverby, and it just sounds really cool over behind the rap yelling.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just like the all those little leads that they play in this fucking song is just awesome.
And it's just really catchy, just the whole song. I mean, the verse to the rap yelling to the chorus and the guitar work is just a really good song. This is like either a top 3 or like an honorable mention to the top 3 just because I guess it depends the day you asking me, but this is definitely a bubble top 3 at the very worst and a top 3 at the very best.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's pretty much I think for me, I'm a little more like set in stone. Like I don't think this is a top 3 song for me, but it's definitely if we're extending it to top 5, then it's definitely a top 5. Um,
Yes.
do you have anything else you want to say about this one?
I mean, I love the bridge over it because just, the normal, I guess will be sounds like a guitar, like a normal guitar chorus, and then they just have those effects where it sounds like like a scratch, like a disc scratch on a DJ table, and it's just
Yeah,
really
yeah, but
cool.
it's guitar. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just that's the one cool thing about Zebrahead that they're very unique when compared to the rest of the genre. So there's a lot of different nuances and different history, I guess, behind the band members. So they can really incorporate more cool things that you don't get in most pop punk bands. Like you'll never hear like a scratch track guitar thing during a bridge of a Starting Line song or a Census Fails song or a Homegrown song. So I mean,
I mean,
it's just
like no other band has an alley.
a Greg Birdolph who's using weird effects because any other band would just sound completely out of place with Zebrahead. It's just like that's Zebrahead. Like there's a distinct sound to them, but Strange just kind of encapsulates that entire sound that Zebrahead is like known for in this era in particular. But that's what I want to say about that though.
Yeah, I once again we'll go off on another tangent, and then this will be like a fucking 3-hour podcast if we don't move on. So you you ready to move on to track number 4?
Unfortunately,
Yeah. So track number 4, Hello Tomorrow. This is my least favorite song on the album. What about you?
it's definitely the least or second least favorite. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's my least favorite. This one, I really think Justin definitely had a hand in the writing on this one because it's basically just Green Day. Um, like this song is what I imagine people that aren't really as well versed in the scene as like we are. I feel like this is what those people think that we listen to when we say we like pop punk songs like "Hello Tomorrow" and like "American Idiot" and shit.
yeah, that's why no disrespect to the dude I work with, but I was listening to the Starting Line at work, and he says, "What is that, Green Day?" I said, "Please don't ever say that again." It, I mean, you could definitely, like I said, but when I was talking about earlier about how like album laid the seeds into the two different paths that this band will go. It's definitely one of the seeds that led into Justin Moriello's other career post Zebrahead. And if you ever listen to his post Zebrahead work, you could be like, this makes sense. It's like listening to the untitled Blink album and then listen to Angels and Airwaves, and you're like, okay, I can see this. No, but it's just a precursor of what's to come with Justin Moriello's quote unquote career.
Yeah.
I use finger quotes pretty intensely when I use the word career.
But yeah, and it is just not good. This is probably the only song on the album I can actually say I really don't like all that much. Like, this was actually torture to listen to. When I was listening to the whole album to get ready for, like, this review, this one was torture. It just,
I'm happy that there's a song that, like, we kind of don't like, just to keep the reviews interesting, because a review is not really fun if we're like, yeah, this is great, or it's good, but it's just not as good as the other song, but still good. It's happy one where I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah, well, that's this song for me. It's just Green Day. It's Green Day with a rapper. And Ali probably by default has my favorite part of the song, because he's not just trying to emulate Green Day. He's actually doing his own thing. And you remember how I said throughout the podcast I'm going to be saying, like, these songs all have really strong choruses? Yeah, that does not apply to this song, because this song just sounds like Green Day.
Yeah. Generic radio butt rock.
I don't know if I'd say butt rock, but definitely, yeah, generic, just... It's what I imagine somebody that doesn't really know pop punk thinks pop punk is. Which pretty much sums up Justin in a nutshell.
Because he doesn't know what he is anymore as a musician.
Yeah, so it sums up Justin in a nutshell pretty well. Yeah, I think I said all I need to say about Hello Tomorrow, if you want to move on to number 5.
Yes, and this is one of the more interesting songs, if you ask me. Track 5.
Track 5, the setup. First of all, I always think this song's called "Lie to Me" just because of the chorus. He keeps saying "Lie to Me."
It's the first lyric of the song.
I know, and I just keep thinking it's called "Lie to Me," but it's not. It's called "The Setup." This one, I would probably put this in the lower mid tier. I'm not gonna put it in the bottom tier, because this definitely, like, most of the songs in the bottom tier are, like, pretty forgettable. This one's definitely not forgettable. The thing about this one is it just feels really disjointed.
Yes, I'm happy you said that. I was thinking,
yeah, like Justin's part in the song feels different. Like, it feels like a completely different song from Ali's part in the song. Like, yeah, it's like, and I once again, I do enjoy the chorus very much. I'm probably said that about every single song so far, except for "Hello Tomorrow." It's a really strong chorus. It's catchy. I enjoy it, but it's just completely different from Ali's part of the song.
Yes, like, Justin's songs just sounds more of like what he's going to be doing in the future with his career. Just, when this song first, like, started, I forgot the "Hello Tomorrow" ended, because it just sounds more like Justin trying to be like, the Killers or Green Day. But then Ali kicks in and the guitar goes all funky and crazy and really brings you back to "Waste of Mind."
Yeah, it almost turns into like a fucking metal song when Ali starts.
Yeah, and the guitar's going all crazy and like funky-ish, and then he's like yelling, and then Justin then goes into this fast punky song when Justin gets back with the vocals. It's not my favorite. It's definitely in my, like, lower, definitely in the bottom 50%. But the one thing I can say about the song is that definitely unique and not forgettable, which is good, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It's certainly interesting, and that's what I think saves it from being bottom tier for me. But it's not much better though. It's definitely lower mid tier, I would say. Because, yeah, I think most of my bottom tier is "Hello Tomorrow," which is just a genuinely bad song, and then, like, the more forgettable songs on the album.
Okay.
But, yeah, so, I think I said everything I need to say on that one.
Yeah, I pretty much said what I had to say,
So then, yeah, I guess we could move on to track number 6. Blur. So Blur was actually a song I originally didn't really have a whole lot to say. Um, until I was like listening to the album again today, and then I remembered like this one's actually like there's a lot I enjoy about this song. It's a lot more like chill and relaxed. But it kind of has it kind of has that like like early 2000s like comedy movie vibe to it, which I enjoy. Like it's definitely different, especially coming after the last fucking song. But
Yeah, I mean,
but it's still enjoyable. I still like it. It still sounds pleasing to my ears.
yeah, like the
Um,
verses are very chilled and relaxed. You get the reverb with the guitar, and you got Ali's rapping, but it's not like aggressive rapping. It's just more chill, kind of almost reggae-ish rapping almost. And then the chorus is really catchy. I really like what the guitar is doing in the beginning.
yeah,
And
just
it reminds you of driving in a convertible, driving to the beach or something with the boys in summer of 2004. You know what I mean?
exactly. Like I could definitely like this wouldn't sound out of place like in American Pie too. And I know I bring up American Pie a lot, but that's because like that's pretty much the tip of, like that's like the standard for like like it's an early 2000s comedy with a very pop punk oriented soundtrack. So you're probably gonna hear me bring that up a lot if I'm talking about songs that would fit in movies. Um, but like it wouldn't sound out of place, like since it is more chill and like almost sad sounding. It would definitely have to be like at a low point in a movie, like maybe where like everybody's kind of like sad, like maybe the girl broke up with the guy or whatever. Um, but like it definitely has that like movie vibe to it.
Yeah,
And
I'm happy that it exists because it's like picked like middle of the album track where it's like it's a good song, so you don't want to skip it, but it's unique and different enough to kind of break up the album. I feel like a problem with a lot of pop punk full lengths is that the middle just sounds like the same and you kind of get burned out listening to like the same sound over and over. So the songs just kind of merge into this giant 15-20 minute like section. But I'm glad Blur exists because it definitely changes the vibe and makes the albums more interesting, I guess, as a whole. It really helps the album out, and it's underrated in that aspect, in my opinion.
yeah, definitely a very underrated song. Even by myself, because like I said, I originally had completely planned to like not really have a whole lot to say about this one. But when I was listening to it again, I realized like there was a lot about this song that I actually really enjoy. As different as it is, it still sounds. And I know, again, I've said it about literally every song except for "Hello Tomorrow." But the chorus is probably my favorite part of the song. The chorus, it's definitely like it's pop punky, but it's like pop punky in a more like chill, like vibey type way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement.
Yeah, like this is like the essence of just vibing.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's because of their dynamic of having a rapper and then being a formerly like a funk band that it doesn't sound out of place with them doing it. So it's really cool what they
Yeah,
do with it.
yeah.
It really helps the album as a whole.
This album has a lot of dynamic to it. It doesn't all sound the same, and that's probably why I think it's such a great album. It's very like pretty much every single song in this album could be classified as pop punk in some type of way. But there's a lot like it's all encompasses like different sounds of the genre. Like this is the more mellow version, then you got the more aggressive ones with like Rescue Me and like the setup, and then you got like just a pure pop punk like Over the Edge. It's a very dynamic album.
Yes, and what I said earlier, how this album just kind of planted the seeds for all the directions Zebrahead will go with all their members.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of people, and I know a lot of like Zebrahead fans that are deep into Zebrahead. I know a lot of them say that this is their favorite album, MFZB.
And it's because it's not hard to see why. I mean, it's got the dynamics, like I was saying. It's the songs are like all really fucking good. Like with the, especially as I said, the choruses are all really fucking good. on this album. Like this album probably has like the best choruses, like out of any of their albums. But I guess with that, we can move on to track number 7. House is Not My Home. This is definitely the ballad of the album.
Yes, and it's definitely, in my opinion, dare I say, first true filler song where it's not bad, but definitely not good or memorable. You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad like Hello Tomorrow or weird like the setup. It's just it exists.
I actually disagree with that. I really like the kind of like ballady, like this one also kind of has like, I think that like American Pie, like he just got broken up with type like background music type track.
I like how we finally disagree on something. So tell me why you enjoyed so much.
I just did. I kind of like the more like relaxed nature of the song. Um, like it's not like super in your face. It's just kind of like it's another vibey song in the same like vein as Blur, but it's not as like funky. If that makes sense. Like this is the more like,
Straight up Rocky, I guess you would say.
yeah, I guess you could say Rocky. I almost don't want to call it Rocky because I'm not really a fan of rock music, but
Hello Tomorrow does exist. I don't want to lump that song. I don't want to discredit this song by lumping it in with Hello Tomorrow because that fate.
but yeah, I guess for lack of a better term, it's definitely the more rockish side of pop punk. Like as I've said before on this podcast, you do have to look out with the what I call the top 40 era pop punk. Like I know Zebrahead wasn't top 40, but they are a part of that era. You gotta look out for a lot of those top 40 era bands because a lot of them were just rock bands masquerading as pop punk bands. Lit. um and this definitely is kind of in like the similar vein, but like it's Zebrahead, so they're not a rock band. And it just, again, it's not really a whole lot I could say for this one that I didn't already say for Blur, but I think it reminds me of like it just has a real early 2000s vibe to it that I really like. Because as you know, I do have a lot of nostalgia for the early 2000s.
As most people do.
And I think that saves this song from just being filler for me.
Okay, well, fair enough. I respect that answer you give.
So, yeah, is there anything else you want to say about this one?
I pretty much said what I needed to say about this song in my opening statement.
Yeah, I really don't think there's a whole lot I can say for this one that is unique. Because I said most of what I was going to say for this one, I already said for Blur. Sounds like it'd be in a movie. It's a lot more mellow than the rest of the album. It's Blur, but like a different type of Blur.
Okay, fair enough. I respect that.
So then I guess we can move on to track number 8. Into You, and this would probably be my second favorite song on the album.
And this is when you asked me earlier, what's my favorite single? This is my favorite single off the album, and another, I would say, a top 3 song for me.
Yeah, definitely my second favorite. This, in my opinion, is the first true glimpse of like the Maddie era in sound. Like I could definitely hear this on pretty much any of the Maddie era albums. Except the only difference is it has Justin on the vocals, but they did re-record this with Maddie when they did that early years album. And it fits so well because it already, like, in sound, it already sounds like something that they would have made in that like mid 2000s, like post Justin, pre Dan era.
Yeah, and listening to Maddie sing this song, it doesn't sound out of place at all because there's some of the songs where you're like, this is definitely not a Maddie song when you listen
Yeah,
to
like
the early years
like
album, but the
like
song is just,
Jagoff.
yeah, well, I mean that just has that Justin shit flavored nuance that he's famous for, but like
I know, it's just a good natured boy singing about being a piece of shit, talking about how I got fired from KFC.
but Into You, but like when you listen to the Into You, it's just sounds normal in my opinion. I prefer the Maddie version better just because I like Maddie's voice better, and the
Yeah, me
song is
too.
And like I said, with this album as a whole, it just sprinkled the seeds. And this is like the
Well,
one seed that they took of Broadcast and Phoenix that you hear.
yeah, well, I don't know if I would say I prefer the Matty version. I definitely do like his voice better. But as we talked about before, nostalgia is a powerful thing. It can't save something that's bad, but it can definitely elevate something that's good.
And
So,
if anything that's bad that you like because of nostalgia, it's just because you haven't listened to it in a very number of years.
that's true. But yeah, so nostalgia is a powerful thing. So I think for that a reason alone, I do prefer the original because I listened to the original when I was like fucking like 10 years old.
And that opening guitar riff is super duper catchy. It's one of the best.
Oh yeah, it's by far one of the best guitar riffs they've ever created. And it's also like the chorus has like double bass. Like
Really, I never noticed that.
on the drums, like on the drums. Like double bass pedals, yeah.
Never noticed that.
Yeah, it's not something you hear every day. Like outside of easycore, you don't typically hear double bass in pop punk.
Yeah. Especially from Zebrahead in 2003.
I know they were ahead of their time with that one.
Yeah, because the only bands I could think of that would be been doing double bass that was pop punk is Newfound and early Starting Line.
Yeah. No. Next time you listen to the song, be on the lookout. During like the second half of the chorus, yeah, he's doing like some double bass shit on the drums.
And that makes sense now that I'm thinking back about to that chorus.
Yeah, the part's like, hold on.
Yeah, and then now that you say it, I can definitely hear where it will be at now. Like I just filled it in my head. Yeah, this is definitely a top 3 song for me, and definitely my favorite single. And it's the first single that they released in Japan, but not in America, which is weird. But yeah, but irregardless, good song though.
Yeah,
song,
good
actually.
song. First real glimpse of the Matty era, I would say. Like, the seeds are all planted throughout the album, but this song in general, I think, really encapsulates the Matty era sound, just with Justin as the singer.
Yeah. So
yeah, I guess with all that said, we
could song with a little bit of rapping in it, cause Zebrahead. But if you like pop punk, then this is definitely, in my opinion, the safest. I would show somebody who likes pop punk if I was showing them Zebrahead on this album in particular.
Oh yeah, this is just pure pop punk without a doubt. So I guess with all that said, we can move on to track number 9, Alone. This is another song I have a lot of nostalgia for. I think I heard this song before I actually listened to the album. Because, like, the very first SmackDown vs. Raw, like, it was just called SmackDown vs. Raw, had, this and Falling Apart on the soundtrack. So I think I heard this before I actually listened to the full album. I would definitely say it's mid-tier. I probably just put it at mid-tier. I don't think I put it at lower mid-tier, but I also don't really think I put it at, like, the higher mid-tier. It's a lot heavier of a song. The only real thing I think that sticks out to me in this one, other than the fact that it's a little bit of a heavier song, and there's not really a whole lot of Justin on it. He is in the song on I believe the bridge, but most of it is Allie.
Yes.
But I think the one thing in this song that really sticks out to me is the little guitar that they play after, I guess, the bridge, like the little na, 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 na. That's probably the one thing that I think really stands out for me for this song.
I think the thing that stands out for me, this song, that's definitely, I kind of put it in the same thing as like the setup to an extent, because it's just like not my favorite, but it's just so, like, I guess, unique to the rest of the album that you just have to respect it for being different, but it's not bad. So it naturally, it's just enjoyable listening just to break up the monotony. And I think it's just an utterly ridiculous song. Just the lyrics and everything are just insane, in my opinion.
Dude, Allie's like legit fucking like yelling during the chorus.
Oh, I know. Like, get up, the house is on fire. Yeah, that's insane.
It's fucking absolutely insane.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think
and
I put it at like, yeah, probably mid tier, maybe lower mid tier, somewhere in there. I think the nostalgia of SmackDown versus Raw kind of elevates it from lower mid tier to just mid tier.
I like how the song is essentially just like the I guess the entire story of the song is just takes place in Japan. It's him having a mental freak out in Japan because the opening lyric is broke down on a Japanese street. First verse of 2 is burned out in Shibuya Station. And the entire song is just being like, I guess, under the influence because like brings up too much JD as in Jack Daniels and too much Coke. And in verse 2 it says too many mushrooms, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Jesus, I never realized the fucking degeneracy that's going on in this song.
Yeah, I know. And I guess the chorus is just him just having a mental breakdown or something like that, or having some sort of delusion. But like I said, it's just the insanity of the song brings to me is just what I enjoy about it. Like it's definitely not it's not great, but it's unique and for that it's enjoyable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's not really something I put on by itself. Maybe once in a while when I'm just in the mood for it because of just how fucking weird it is.
Yeah,
But
like
for the
it's just
most
it's so
part,
crazy hearing into you into this. Like it's just it gives you like a gut punch almost. Where you're like,
yeah, it's a
oh,
complete fucking 180 from like
yeah,
just
and
pure pop punk into like this one's almost metal.
yeah, like this is a song where it's like if they did this like once or twice album, I would like it, but if they did this every album, I would not like Zebrahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If this is the only sound they had, I would not like this band. But just a little sprinkled in insanity always does it good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So yeah, my final verdict definitely mid tier somewhere.
To me, it's enjoyable, not as a pop punk song, but just as
Just as a this
manic
is
insane
fucking
trip.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's not. Yeah, but like it's hard for me to explain. Like I wouldn't say it's like great or even like good, but it's just fun. So I guess it's good by that matter.
Okay, fair enough.
That's all I gotta say about this.
Yeah, I guess we could just move right on to track number 10. Expectations. This is probably the first one I really think I like truly don't really have a whole lot to say about. When I was listening to it, nothing about it really stood out to me. It just kind of it was like a not as good Blur. Like it's definitely more chill, more relaxed, but it's a lot more alternative-y than Blur is.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds more like you would hear on just once again another generic rock album, which became Justin Moriello's career.
Yeah, and it's not a bad song. Like I said, I think the only song on this album I really truly don't like is Hello Tomorrow. It's not a bad song. It's just kind of it's there. Um I'm not gonna skip it if I'm listening to the whole album, but I'm also probably not just putting on expectations just to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely in my bottom 3, I would say, or even bottom 4.
Yeah, I definitely would probably put it in the definitely bottom tier, just because it's just very forgettable for me.
And it's not like a fun filler where it's just like a pop punk song that's just another standard pop punk song. The song is just the verse just sounds like something you would hear at a generic rock album 2004. With a little bit of
Yeah,
rapping in there. And I'm not really into that sound. Like if that's the sound you love for if that's the sound you like, then more power to you because this is your song, but it exists. That's all I'm gonna say. It exists.
it exists. Doesn't really stick out as particularly good or bad for me. It's just there.
It's boring to me. And in my opinion, that's worse than just being straight up bad because
Yeah, at least I get a kick out of calling Hello Tomorrow torture.
yeah, like I laugh dissing Hello Tomorrow, but this song is just yeah. Yeah, the chorus doesn't do anything for me. The verses are boring. It's just yeah. Oh, I got. Let's just move on.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, we can move on with that into track 11, Falling Apart. This is probably, in my opinion, like the golden standard for heavier Zebrahead songs. Like, it's heavy. It's definitely a heavier song. That. Like Ali's fucking shouting during the chorus that you can't control me. You can't control me.
Yes.
But it still sounds like Zebrahead. It still has that like kind of like pop punk sheen over top of it. It's just in a heavier package.
Yes, and this was a song that I was listening to first when that whole Sum 41 does this look infected like comparison clicked in my head. I was like, I can just see like
Say that one more time
Steve.
because you broke up a little there.
My apologies. I said this was a song I was listening to when I first made the connection or comparison to Sum 41's Does This Look Infected. Like when when Ali's rapping, I can hear like Steve Jocks, the drummer, rapping or something like that, or Derek, being a weirdo and doing some singing. But this song just sounds like once again like kind of like a Sum 41-ish kind of metal pop punk to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is
And you know what? I'll take that over any of the Dan era thrash metal.
yeah, I mean this is one of the most popular songs.
Yeah, it maybe is their most popular. That or Playmate of the Year.
Well, let's go on. Yep, according to the popular tab on Spotify, this has almost 14 million plays.
Yeah. And I mean, it was again, it was another song that was in SmackDown versus Raw. Remember, it was Alone and Falling Apart, and it makes sense because those are two of the heavier songs on the album. Because when you want to beat the shit out of somebody, you're not gonna listen to fucking Blur.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense why this would have.
So I am a little biased towards it. I do have a lot of nostalgia for it, and as we talked about, nostalgia is powerful. It makes you think things that are bad are actually good. But then when things are good, it just makes you love it way more than you probably should. But yeah, in my opinion, I think this sets the standard for heavy Zebrahead songs. That songs like Karma Flavored Whiskey, and Sorry But Your Friends Are Hot, and like any of the Maddie era heavy songs like would follow.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably I would say like mid tier, but like high low mid tier, if that makes sense. Like
the lower of the high mid tier. If I understood that correctly.
Yeah, there's 15 tracks on the album. This will probably be around that 8 or 7 mark for me, where it's just like smack dab in the middle or a little bit below the 50% mark.
Okay. I gotcha.
Like I said, I mean, like the heavier sound, I mean, it's enjoyable, but if every single song sounded like Falling Apart, I really wouldn't like Zebrahead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess this album is just crazy because you go from Into You, Alone, Expectations to Falling Apart, and they're 4 completely different sounding songs.
Yeah, they all sound different from each other.
Into You is just straight up pop punk. Alone is insanity. Expectations is just generic rock from 2003, 2004, and then Falling Apart is like a Sum 41 Does This Look Infected kind of sound.
Yeah, I think once you made that comparison, that like really clicked in my head. It makes sense. Cause you know what? It's fucking cause like back in like when I first heard Fat Lip, I was like, this sounds like Zebrahead. Cause like obviously, like I said, I knew Zebrahead way before I knew Sum 41. And like Fat Lip has the rapping and shit on it. obviously they don't really have like a dedicated rapper. Like I think, like you said, Steve Jocks does most of the rapping duties whenever it's called for. Boy,
Mhm.
I think Fat Lip is really their only song that has rapping in it, unless I'm mistaken.
Well, there is
Well,
what we're
there
all
is What We're All About. That's true. But I did forget about that one. That one just sounds like the fucking Beastie Boys.
well, yeah, but yeah, you got a point there. But yeah, but I'm just saying, but yeah, the sound is still very similar. You know what I mean? Of course, Zebra is going to be different than pretty much every other pop punk band out there because they do have a dedicated rapper slash yeller guy. So they're just unique by that standard. But we're just talking about like musically speaking wise, I'd say it's a very similar to it does this look infected type of sound.
Makes sense. I
But yeah,
agree
that's all
with
I gotta
that.
say about that one. If there's anything else you want to say.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I remember, like the song "Someday" off of "Waste of Mind," which is like probably the soul pop punk song on that album. Uh, Definitely reminds me a little bit of like Sum 41, like the all killer no filler type Sum 41.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what I was trying to form the right words for to say like I agree with that comparison. Not only for the heavier does this look infected sound, but also kind of like the all killer no filler sound a little bit for like the like the more pop punky Zebrahead songs.
Yeah, I can respect that.
And moving on to track number 12, Let It Ride, and this song will round out my top 3.
Same. How
So
about that?
yeah, it will go Over the Edge, Into You, and then Let It Ride.
And we really are echo chambers,
I know, except for House Is Not My Home. That one we had a nice little disagreement on.
which is good for the sake of
For the sake of discussion.
product. Nobody wants to hear. I agree.
But no, I mean
This
this
song
one
is great.
this is it's kind of continues the sound from Over the Edge in my opinion. Um like it's just kind of more of the same of that. Um like the little opening riff I think is really cool like the
Remind me, it sounds very no pads, no helmets, just ball simple playing that opening riff.
that makes a lot of sense. I can hear that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Um
make comparisons because Zebrahead isn't as known as the other bands. I just want to see if anybody's listening to that. If you like, that you would like this song. But yeah, I mean, I love this song. I
yeah,
mean, this song
the
hidden
the
gem in my opinion because I never hear anyone talking about it.
I'm gonna sound like a fucking broken record here, but the chorus is again probably the best part of the song in my opinion. The time won't stop for you. Like it's beautiful.
I think my favorite part is like the post chorus where it's just the guitar riff, and then Ali is doing his rap, little like little bit of vocals over it, and I think it's just really cool because I like when bands do that, and even the verses are really catchy, like the whole back and forth, like it's a real cool dynamic.
Oh,
Yeah, like,
I do. Thank you for bringing that up because you know what? Like obviously I didn't forget about it, but I forgot about it to the point where I wasn't gonna bring it up, but then you brought it up, and I also really like that back and forth too, where it's like you got Justin singing, and then Allie going like let it ride. How did I ever think it messed up?
yeah, like Ali has like the like more of aggressive to the point, and then Justin's more melodic and like peaceful with obviously he's singing. It just comes up with a really cool, like catchy, dynamic, and it's a really underrated Zebrahead song because like never see them play this song like live or watching live videos or people talking about their favorite like non-single Zebrahead songs. It seems like this song never comes up in discussion, and it's a shame because it's truly, in my opinion, one of their best.
Yeah, it rounds out my top 3.
And it's
It's
great because it's towards the end of the album, so it gives you a reason to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think you know what. That's part of what makes this album so good is because every song is like so different. Like I feel like if this was any other band, this song would be kind of filler. Um, Because I feel like if there's any other band that had songs that just sounded like Over the Edge and Let It Ride and like that, just every song sounded like that, I feel like Let It Ride wouldn't have a whole lot to make it stick out. And that's also why I think I like Over the Edge a little bit better. It just has more of an oomph to it. But
It's also the second track on the album, so you hear it more often and it comes more action.
But because like every song in this album sounds pretty different from each other. It's more unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I definitely agree. I mean, it's just really funny how like we'll be talking about this with the next track. How it's just the crazy dynamic just changes again.
Oh, we will be talking about that. I have a lot to say about the next track.
I want to hear it, sir. So I want to say about Let It Ride. It's a great song. It's pop punk at some of its finest, and it's completely different than the next track.
Oh, there's a major 180 with track 13, Type A. This one, I would just classify this as a punk song. There's really not a whole lot that's pop about it. I guess you can definitely stretch every song on this album to be pop punk, but it's a hell of a stretch on this one.
Well, first of all, this song also plants the seeds of future Zebrahead because, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only Zebrahead song on the 3 albums that do not feature Mr. Justin on it.
I was actually about to say that. That's part of what makes this song so interesting is there's no Justin on it. Like as far as vocals go, I don't know if he played the guitar on this track because I know he was also their rhythm guitarist. I don't know if maybe Greg just did all guitar duties on this song because I mean let's be honest, the song doesn't have any leads. It's a punk song. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. Justin, if you're watching, did you have any involvement in this song at all?
Because he's probably super excited that somebody's talking about him again.
I know. Because my theory on this song is they made it without Justin's involvement. And the song is about Justin. And that's why there's no Justin singing. But like I don't know if Justin plays guitar on this or not. But I'm gonna assume probably not. Cause the song's a diss track. It's a diss track about somebody. And knowing what I know about the band, how basically nobody in the band fucking liked Justin, and that led to a less than amicable breakup.
Yes, my favorite is Ed the drummer's I guess
not to be confused with Ed as in yourself.
Yes, but it's just quite hilarious, his little statement about the split with them.
Yes, we may or may not think Justin is an asshole.
That's for legal reasons. Yes, here is the opening line is great. Hello, he's like, hello people, hold up real quick. I like this one. I'm sorry for this awkward silence, but he said, first, I would like to say today is a great day for Zebra. So people read this letter from Ed and I will put more info below. Ed Udis. For legal reasons, the statement below is as follows. Some of us might or may not think Justin is a jackass. So that's all you need to know when you open up a letter saying it's a great day for Zebrahead, and then you also have a little PS in there.
I fucking love it.
Yeah, so that letter and the song, it gives more weight behind the theory.
Well, yeah, no, so this is, I think, the only song during Justin's tenure with the band that he didn't sing vocals at all in the song. Like we know, like Alone was mostly Allie, but Justin did still come in, on like the bridge. But this one, there's no Justin at all. So like my honest theory is they wrote this song about him. Maybe they were able to get it on the album by telling him it wasn't about him. Because I like, as much as I love to like make conspiracies, it'd be pretty hard to get the song on the fucking album without him knowing.
But yeah, I mean that's
But,
pretty
yeah.
obviously. Like imagine just be like, when did we write this song?
Exactly. What is this, Type A? But yeah, so maybe they didn't tell him it was about him so that they could put it on the album. But I'd like to think they made the song entirely without his involvement and that it's about him.
Yeah, I mean the song is once again one of the more unique songs on the album for obvious reasons. If you just listen to said song,
Yeah,
it sounds
I feel
more
like,
on the key of Alone.
I feel like at face value I wouldn't like this song, but I think just like the lore behind it and like the mystique makes me really enjoy this song.
Yes, it's like the background is like there's more to the song than just music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like they also did Karma Flavored Whiskey on their next album, Broadcast to the World. And that one I'm like 99% sure is about Justin.
Yeah, I mean,
But like
I'll
there's
go to the grave and gun to my head. I'll say yes. It's definitely about Justin. Caramel flavored whiskey. Type A has a bit more of a. It's like a creepy pasta or an urban legend. It's like a campfire.
exactly, like the mystique behind it is what makes it so fun to listen to.
You want to listen to it over and over to kind of catch little nuances. Like, oh, I told you, man, this is what it's about.
Exactly, because like, yeah, like if it's a punk song, as I said at the beginning, I don't really like punk music, so just at face value, I wouldn't like this song. But then, like knowing that it's well, not knowing, but believing that it's about Justin, it makes it more fun to listen to. And I guess it also helps that they played this when we went to see them during that early years show, which was also really cool.
Yeah.
That show, they played a lot of songs off this album.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes the most sense. I mean, it's definitely of their Justin album. It definitely has the most in relation to their current sound. I mean, they played the 3 Justins and Broadcast, so I mean, it makes sense why they would play a lot of stuff from this.
I know. I just wanted to bring that up, that little blurb, because I felt like it was relevant.
Oh, absolutely, it was.
So
once again, it's just funny how we went from Let It Ride to Type A, and
I know we went from just beautiful standard pop punk to just a fucking angry diss punk song that may or may not be about their lead singer.
Yes, about a guy in the band
who during the writing and recording of the band was their current singer.
Yes, so it's ballsy if you just want to believe that little theory, and it's definitely a fun one.
Oh, I know, I love it. I absolutely love it. And until I receive confirmation otherwise, I'm choosing to believe it's about Justin and they made it without his involvement. If anybody knows differently, like if anybody from Zebrahead is watching and fucking wants to shed any light, please let me know. I would love to know the truth behind the song. Although I kind of don't know if I do want to know the truth, because I feel like that would just kill some of its charm, is not knowing the truth.
Yeah, it's like me finding out that place, that Cinemassacre video store does not actually exist 10 minutes from my house.
I don't know if I now I don't know if I want to know. Like before, I wanted to know because I wanted a definitive answer. Now I don't know if I want to know.
It's more fun to be blissfully ignorant. The dark is sometimes more fun than the light.
That was very profound.
Thank you, sir. I was watching a Shadow of the Colossus video, and that's what the guy said. So yeah.
Okay, Adam Sandler.
Yeah, well, it's a great game. And then, you got anything else to say about Type A? Because you pretty much said everything I wanted to say about it, so I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yeah, we can move on. Track number 14, Runaway. And this is another song that, before today, I was going to call it like another forgettable one that I didn't really have a whole lot to say, but when I was listening to it today, I remembered it's actually a lot more interesting than I remembered it being. For one, the chorus, again, I know, broken record, but the fucking chorus is really strong and catchy, and I enjoy it. I Another thing that I thought was kind of interesting is in the lyrics to the chorus. At one point where he's like, some if she comes home, do you think she'll want to stay? He's asking us, the listener, something, getting us actively involved. You don't hear songs do that a lot. A lot of songs do, like, say you and talk about you, but not in this way. Like, he's singing about the girl, but he's asking us our thoughts on the situation. I thought that was kind of interesting, because there's not a lot of songs do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I looked up the lyrics just to confirm that I was hearing it right. And it wasn't like, when she comes back, think she'll wanna stay. I was just making sure that I heard it right. But, yeah, that's not something you hear a lot of songs do.
That is very interesting.
And yeah, I think in listening to it, to prep for this review, it turned from a bottom tier, like, forgettable song to, I mean, it's not a high tier song. Nothing can touch the high tier songs, but I think it graduated from bottom tier to mid tier. It's definitely a lot more fucking interesting than Expectations.
Yeah, because Expectations, there's just no. I mean, Runaway has a really catchy chorus. I'll say that much.
Yeah, and I know. You made it through this entire video. I've said that for probably about like 12 of the 14 songs we talked about already, but you just gotta listen to the album and you'll know that I'm saying it because it's fucking true. This song has like unmatched choruses. Like, yeah. I really can't stress enough that this has probably the best choruses in their entire career.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because the choruses are all very simple lyrically and melody, which gives a real sing-song vibe, where it's easy for us, the listener, to sing along at concerts or even in the car.
Well, the choruses, dude, they got hooks. That's what they got. They got like vocal hooks. And yeah, it's like baffling to me that they didn't really break through with this album, at least not in the States, because I know like in Japan and the UK, like they're so much bigger than they are here. But it just kind of, it's weird to me that with this album, they're fucking strong fucking vocal melodies, that they didn't, like, it didn't really do a whole lot for them. Because it's really fucking good.
It makes sense that, but, at least we said the whole thing with Japan, because, the two releases that, like, sandwich this, like, Waste of MFCB and the Stupid Fat Americans EP were, like, Japanese exclusives. So it would make sense that, it was probably a big hit overseas.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just what I was saying. Like, I know I've said the choruses on this album are good for like every fucking song, but that's just because they are. If you don't believe me, listen to the fucking album. I guarantee you'll agree with at least one of the songs, because every song's fucking different, but every song has a good chorus, except for Hello Tomorrow.
For better or for worse, yeah.
Yeah, for better or for worse. Because Hello Tomorrow is just Green Day.
Yes.
And I also really like the little guitar in, I guess, the bridge, where it kind of, like, it's funky. It kind of sounds a little messy, but, like, you can tell, like, that's definitely the intention, because it's got, like, some reverb or something on it. That it definitely makes it sound a little messy, a little, like, riff salad-y. But, like, I feel like that's the point. So, like, it doesn't sound bad to me. And yeah, this song is just, I'm glad I gave this album another once over, because I completely changed my opinion on this song like this morning.
Very nice. So, it's interesting how our tastes change on things.
Yeah, no, like, I was completely ready for this review to just say Blur, Runaway, forgettable. I didn't change my stance on Expectations. Listen to that again. I still think it's kind of insane. But Yeah, Blur and Runaway. I completely changed my mind on both of those songs. So, you have anything else you want to say on this one?
I mean, you pretty much said what I want to say, but you said it way better than I could ever, so I'm ready to move on.
Okay, so then we can move on to track 15. Dear You, and then in parentheses, Far Away. The final, I'm gonna put a little asterisk on that, the final song of the album. And this one is probably another one where I don't think I would call forgettable. I think it's effective at what it does, where it's just trying to be like a mellow, like closing song. But I definitely don't think it's something I would put on just to listen to. I think it works like in tandem with the rest of the album. Like it needs the rest of the album to work because it it's it's trying to be like the mellow like closing song of the album. So it just really doesn't work if it doesn't have an album to close.
Yeah, it's kind of the problem with like streaming nowadays that it kind of kills the opener and the epic closer. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah,
'Cause,
definitely.
I mean, I feel like in Tanja, the rest of the album, it's a cool send off, but as a song, as just a song, it exists to me. There's really nothing bringing me back to said song. But if you already went, 50 plus minutes of listening to it, it's like a great change of pace to say, okay, this is it. Goodbye, everybody.
You know, one thing that I did find kind of interesting about this song, though, I listened to it like 9 times a day just to make sure that I wasn't tripping and like maybe I forgot to listen during Allie's part. I don't think this song has Allie in it. I think it's just all Justin. I'm saying I think because I don't want to be 100% certain in case I just did miss it. Like maybe I wasn't listening hard enough. But I could not hear Allie today. All I heard was Justin on this song.
Yeah, this is definitely a future Darlin' Thieves song.
So yeah, so like there's in the entire Zebrahead catalog. I might if I'm missing anything, I apologize. They have a lot of fucking albums, and I've listened to all their albums, but some songs I've heard less than others. So maybe if I'm missing something, I apologize. You can let me know in the comments. But to date, I think there's only been 2 songs that was only Justin on the vocals. 1 song that was only Allie on the vocals, and then 1 song that was only Maddie on the vocals. And this is one of the Justin songs. The other one is like a B-side off of Playmate of the Year. It's called Wookie, and it's I actually enjoy Wookie. It's like goofy, silly, like songs like about how his girlfriend left him for a Wookie.
Yeah, it's really funny because you can hear the little demo tease of it after the hell that is my life on that album.
Yeah. But it actually doesn't sound like that, like the actual like full like bonus track. So the B side, like that's not on Spotify, unfortunately. I forgot to say this at the start of the podcast. For legal reasons, we don't play the songs on the podcast while we talk about it. Most of the stuff we talk about is on Spotify. That song Wookie is not on Spotify, but it is on YouTube somewhere. If you look for it, just type in Zebrahead Wookie and you should be able to find it. It's pretty funny. It's silly. It's goofy. It's early 2000s goofy pop punk. It is very catchy. I agree. But anyway, yeah. So it's just kind of weird. Again, I might be missing something. If I am, please let me know in the comments because they do have a lot of songs. I'm not gonna remember every single song they've ever made off the top of my head at the drop of a hat. But from what I gathered, only 2 songs in their entire catalog have only Justin on the vocals and not Allie.
First of all,
it's kind of weird. This is one of those 2. And it's the only one that actually made it onto an album.
Yes. Also, you know what I think is like really funny about like well, I mean, this has nothing to do with MFZB, but Playmate of the Year, the album. I find it quite funny that technically the first single released off this album was Deck the Halls I Hate Christmas, which was a Japan exclusive bonus track.
I've actually listened to that song. That's another song I don't think it's on Spotify because it is a Japan bonus. It might be on Stupid Fat Americans, which I believe is on Spotify. So if it is, then it is on Spotify, like through that. I haven't checked, so I don't know if it's on Spotify. But again, if you want to listen to that one, it is on YouTube. It's a good song. Definitely not as good as Wookiee in my opinion, but it's an enjoyable listen. Very early 2000s. I could hear it at like the start of like a Christmas movie starring like Tim Allen or some shit.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I said everything I needed to say about this song. Unless you had anything else you wanted to say.
No, I guess let's go to the real final track, which
yes, the real track 16, The Fear.
Sucks because it's not on Spotify.
Yeah, no, this one's not on Spotify either. This is probably, to date, the only song we've covered in an album review that isn't on Spotify. Like, I know we just talked about a couple of Zebrahead B-sides, but we weren't actually reviewing those. We just kind of brought them up. This is the first song we're actually reviewing that isn't on Spotify. But again, it is on YouTube, so if you guys want to listen to it, all you gotta do is just type in Zebrahead, The Fear, and you'll be able to find it. And yeah, this one's it's nu metal. Like that's there's really nothing else about it. It's nu metal. It's a nu metal song.
Justin on this song?
I think he is on the bridge.
True.
I definitely, I listened to it like once today to get prepped, but like, you know, like that was once. Versus I listened to the full album like 3 times. I'm pretty sure he is on the bridge. Again, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. Correct me respectfully in the comments. Don't call me a fucking idiot. Correct me respectfully in the comments.
So how do you feel about this song anyway?
I enjoy it in the same way that I enjoy Power Man 5000. It's just fun. It's heavy. Okay,
fun insanity.
Yeah, it's fun insanity. I agree. That's how I would describe this.
I mean, it sounds like a WWF like theme song.
Which makes sense because they have lots of ties to the WWF, now called the WWE, where they did have multiple songs in SmackDown vs. Raw, and then they made the song With Legs Like That for Maria, who, fun fact, that song was actually originally for, I think, Stacy Keibler. But then she left, but they already wrote the song, so they figured they used it on somebody else, and they used it on Maria. I think that was her name, was Maria. I don't think she had well, obviously she had a second name, like, legally, but I don't think she had a second name, like, for her ring name.
Yeah, it's just simply known as Maria.
Yeah. And I enjoy that song quite a bit. That song is on Spotify, though, With Legs Like That. If you, like, just type it in, like, I don't know if they have it on their page, because I think it's actually credited as, like, WWE and not Zebrahead, but if you type in With Legs Like That, you'll be able to find it.
I like how Zebrahead does not really fit with the other bands on, like, the compilation they were on, but the WWE
it's like Finger 11, Killswitch Engage, fucking Motorhead, Zebrahead,
3-6 Mafia.
I know, I fucking love it. Yeah, that's, you know what, though? That's kind of a testament to, like, how unique they are, because, like, they had a song in Dude, Where's My Car, which is, like, a predominantly pop-punk soundtrack. They had a song in WWE, which is, like, all fucking, like, nu metal. Then they had a song in Little Nicky, which, again, is, like, all metal. And then they had a song in Tony Hawk, which is, like, all skate punk. And they don't really feel out of place in any of those things. That's just how, like, unique and dynamic they are.
Yeah, that's Zebrahead for you. They're a general pop punk band, but there's way more under that umbrella for them than just pop punk.
Yeah, like, if you need a category of, like, what to call them, if you're, like, trying to show them to somebody, like, you definitely say pop punk, but, like, there's a whole lot more to them. Like, yeah, that song, The Fear, it's a new metal song. Like, it's not even like, oh yeah, it's new metal, but it's Zebrahead, so it's got a little bit of that pop punk flair. No, this is just a new metal song.
I mean, for example, Playmate of the Year, the genres are punk rock, pop punk, rap, core, and hard rock.
I'm pretty sure at some point, legitimately new metal was listed as one of the genres for Playmate of the Year.
Jeez. Well, fun fact, this is my favorite for Broadcast of the World. The genres are called pop, punk rock, pop punk, rock, alternative metal, rapcore, ska punk.
What the fuck is ska about that album?
I don't know. And then in Phoenix, they have new metal listed.
That is pure fucking insanity.
I mean, they're just a very diverse band. There's something for everybody for Zebrahead, but yeah, they're just an interesting, great band.
I agree. And that closes out MFZB. So I guess for closing thoughts, it's a hell of an album. Just because of how diverse it is, there's bound to be a few songs that you probably will really like and you probably won't really like. But if you overall are a fan of pop punk, you will enjoy this album. I give it probably an 8.5 out of 10.
And where do you rank this among Zebrahead albums for you?
It would probably be my number 2, just under Playmate of the Year.
Okay.
It's like I said when we started the podcast. It's very weird because neither of my 2 favorite albums from Zebrahead, like my top 3 would be Playmate of the Year, MFZB, and then Phoenix. Only Phoenix is actually from my favorite era of that band, the post-Justin, pre-Dan era. The other 2 are from the Justin era. It's so weird because like the Matty era is my favorite, but like I don't know. I guess just I have a lot of nostalgia for the Justin era, and then in MFZB in particular, like it's basically a Matty era album. It just has Justin on the vocals instead of Matty.
Fair enough. Interesting.
So how about you? Well, where would you rate this, and then what like rating would you give it?
I'll go 8 out of 10. And then I'd say 3 or 4.
Okay, I know Broadcast is your favorite, so if this is 3 or 4, then what would your 2 and 3 be?
2 would be Playmate, and my 3 or 4 would, as you said, Phoenix would split between this and MFZB.
Okay. Really solid ranking.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, this is a great album. It was kind of tragic that this is their last album with Justin, but they planted the seeds to better era. Obviously,
I don't even see it as tragic because yeah, like they were on the bigger, better things. Justin wasn't, but they were.
Yeah, it planted the seeds to greatness. This album, because their follow up, which happened to be, as obviously I just stated, my favorite Zebrahead album, Broadcast of the World, came out 3 years later.
Exactly, and Broadcast of the World is another solid album. That would probably be my number 4. But you know, it's a top 3, so you know, it wasn't in the top 3. But that would probably Broadcast probably would be my number 4. Just because yeah, the whole Matty era in general, I love. The Get Nice, I didn't listen to as much. Like I've heard every song off that album, but I think I've only ever listened to it as background music, like while I'm playing games or whatever. I don't think I've ever actually sat down and listened to it. So a lot of the songs do kind of blend together for me on that one. But other than that, like all like the Matty era, which would be like Broadcast, Phoenix, Get Nice, and I would personally count Call Your Friends as part of the Matty era and not part of the Dan era, even though Dan was the guitarist. It was like right after Greg left, and it's still in sound. It still sounded closer to like the Matty era stuff than anything after it.
Absolutely.
So even though it as far as timeline goes, is Dan era, as far as sound goes, I count it as Matty era. I mean, it's all blurred lines anyway, because like I said, Dan's not the vocalist, Dan's the guitarist, so Maddie is still the vocalist for the Dan era. I just call it the Dan era because that's when they just really switched up to just being metal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just kind of what I was saying. Even though it's not from my favorite era, I do have a lot of nostalgia for the Justin era, and then MOZB in particular is basically a Maddie era album anyway. Lots of good on this album, little not so good, but you know what? You take the good with the bad. That's the beautiful thing about like how you were saying earlier, how like Spotify does kind of ruin openers and closers. I definitely agree with that. But then the beautiful thing is, when I'm listening to this album, I can just remove "Hello Tomorrow" from my queue.
Yeah, and then you do it in your vision.
Exactly. Bye bye, "Hello Tomorrow," and I think that's probably the only one I would skip if I was listening to the album front to back. Like as I said before, the Expectations is kind of but I don't think I would skip it if I was listening to the album. I just wouldn't put it on by itself.
Yeah, I'd probably. Yeah, I mean that song. It's probably on might skip.
I think the only skip for me would be "Hello Tomorrow."
Well,
But
so
yeah, I think unless you have any closing thoughts,
all I gotta say is listen to this album. It's very good.
yeah, I think if you're into pop punk and either don't know Zebrahead or like maybe you might have heard of them, because I think they are pretty popular in the scene. Even if you like might have heard of them but like don't really know any of their stuff, listen to this album. If you like pop punk, you'll like it. There's at least something on this album you will like, just because it's so fucking diverse. Definitely recommend it. And yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We will catch you guys next week, every Tuesday at noon. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Bye bye.